Hello and welcome back. My name is Angela, and today a little bit a different type of video, a different format of video. More chatty, a little bit a mix between perhaps a roundup, currently reading, and a couple of other things that I think I might want to talk about. So I hope you like this format. If you do, there might be more of this, but let's get into it. So let's start with what was happening on the channel in maybe the last perhaps 2 months as a little bit of a wrap up. So September and October were still very much dominated by this book here, Perdido Street Station, because this is where we were still doing the Perdido Street read-along that started in August and then also kind of covered part of September, because we did 2 live discussions in August and the other 2 then in September. And I have to say, this is definitely my highlight of all the things that I've done. Well, not just during those 2 months, but for a long time on the channel. I had such a good time discussing that book with the 5 people who joined me for the discussions. I couldn't have found better people, and I will link their channels in the description box below. If you haven't checked them out yet, please do. They all have channels. They have fabulous channels where they do interesting stuff. And a big thank you to Varsha, Raf, Dan, Jared and Mary, because as I said, I couldn't have found more enthusiastic people, and it was so rewarding and also so enriching for myself to hear their perspectives, their experiences with those books. Was just fabulous, and it exceeded expectations. This is the first read-along that I had on my channel as a channel read-along, so a book that was voted by you, my viewers, for, and also the first time I was doing a live stream. So a lot of firsts with this read-along, but so it was very hard for me to find out what reaction this will get, how people will react to this. Will there be people watching? Will there be people in the live chat? And there were people in the live chat, so a big thank you to those people as well. And as I say, this was really pleasant, wonderful and enormously rewarding for me. I could see myself doing another one maybe in spring. I'm certainly open for organizing another channel read-along. Maybe springtime. If you have any ideas what books or book we might tackle then, let me know in the description box, in the comment section, because links go into the description box and suggestions from you go into the comment section. There we have it. As I say, I would not mind doing another one. Also, there has been interest expressed from the group to get together. So the exact same 6 people. There was also a suggestion made for a book that we might read together and then discuss. I haven't heard any further things about this, but I might inquire, see, is that still a thing? So watch this space. Other things I did in September, October, still related to the channel read-along, was a video on what is new weird. Because I thought, well, if we talk about China Medieval, we might perhaps also see what's that genre he is normally grouped with, which is called new weird. And again, I wasn't thinking that this would be so popular, but this particular video still gets a decent amount of views every week. And I'm wondering, Is there some type of need or, I don't know, deeper interest in videos that explain the genre perhaps a little bit more? If that's the case, or if that is something that interests you, again, please let me know, because that's certainly something that I personally would be interested in doing. And if you're interested in watching, then I think we should bring those two interests together somehow. So yeah, definitely another thing to think about. And yeah, that was nice to see that that video did so well. Another video that I did that was totally unrelated to anything to do with Yeovil or Perdido Street Station was the spoiler-free review of The Prophet of Edan by Philip Chase. This is the second in the Edan trilogy, and yeah, I absolutely love this book. And if you haven't watched the review yet, please do. Also, if you haven't read the Edan trilogy yet, what are you waiting for exactly? It's good. And I know there is always this, but you're a friend of Philip's, and yeah, are you even objective? There are so many other people who have read this by now and say it's good. So yeah, I think you can trust us. It's good. So yeah, or if you have read the first one and think that wasn't a bit lame in parts, this picks up the pace, picks up the battles and combat scenes, picks up the gore, picks up the deep thinking topics. You get a lot of things, and it really ramps up in book number 2. So definitely recommend. And as I said, I had a really good time with this book. I also did a video on Back to School, or better, Back to Magic School. And I don't know, that didn't get so much views. Maybe people think it's more about YA, which it isn't. They're all adult books that have a magical school setting, and some of them are very dark. They're not just dark academia, but they're almost grimdark meets education. So if you haven't checked that out because you thought perhaps that is YA, then I would say yeah, you might have a rethink and perhaps click on that video. And the other one I did was about 5 favorite authors of mine that write in more than one genre, and some perhaps in genres that you might not be aware of. And those writers are J.R.R. Martin, Daniel Abraham, of course Ursula Le Guin. How can I do a roundup video without Ursula Le Guin? And 2 more that you have to find out by yourself by watching the video if you haven't done so yet. Oh yeah, I can do a teaser. Yes. So this is what happened on the channel over the last, roughly 2 months. As I say, quite heavily dominated still by the read-along. But then, as I also say, that was one of my highlights, I think, since I have the channel, more or less, almost. Yeah. Also, if you haven't read Perdido Street Station yet, I mean, I didn't do a dedicated why you should read, but I would highly recommend. I mean, it looks intimidating. It's a chunker. It's 800 pages in this edition, but it's very fast-paced in parts. There are also combat scenes, battle scenes, if that's something that interests you. It has really great characters. It has one of the most tragic character arcs I've ever read in a long time. And also the world building is just impeccable. The world, the city here is so wonderfully done. Highly recommend. So if you are still on the fence for this, grab it, read it, and yeah, you can have virtual company by watching our discussions. There is a playlist. I will link the playlist down below as well for those discussion videos. So yeah, as I said, that was definitely the highlight for me over those last 2 months. Okay, so what am I currently reading? Well, I'm still traipsing around in Jurmenland or Andumedan by reading this one here, Return to Eden. This is the final and last installment in the Eden trilogy. I'm blown away so far. I haven't completely finished this yet, but so far, whoa. One of the things that I totally love about this book is how it structurally links into the other two books, especially book one. Book one for me got quite a bit of different spin since I'm reading this one here. And as I say, I'm blown away. It's in parts very dark. It has ripped my heart out many a time at this stage. But also it has some incredibly beautiful parts that are written in such a beautiful language. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm very impressed so far with this third book. I also had the wonderful honor and privilege to talk with two other really wonderful people, John Mauro and Mark Lawrence. And the three of us, we had the privilege and honor to talk to Philip about the whole trilogy. This video will come out on Philip's channel. I don't know if it will be out by the time you view this. I have no idea. But if not, then that's definitely something to watch out to. As I say, this will be over on Philip's channel. The other thing I'm reading is a book I brought over from Germany, and this is my favorite German fantasy author, Walter Mörs, Die Insel der Tausend Leuchttürme. This hasn't been translated into English yet, so this is only available in German. This just came out in September. I just couldn't wait until I had other stuff finished. Also, as I said, Return to Eden has its dark moments, whereas this is very light-hearted. Walter Mörs is one of those writers that is more on the funny side. There's a lot of wordplay and puns and things like that. So yeah, if you want to try him out, there are some of his books translated into English. His best books are probably Die Stadt der träumenden Bücher, The City of the Dreaming Books, and then the second part of this, Das Labyrinth der träumenden Bücher, The Labyrinth of the Dreaming Books. Those are the two first books in a trilogy. The last one hasn't been published yet. At the moment, I have a bit the feeling as if good old Walter is being the German version of J.R.R. Martin. We're waiting a long time for that third book. But I'm also thinking, so I'm a bit reluctant to actually, recommend those two, because they end on quite a cliffhanger. And if that's not your thing, you will not be happy. Instead, I would say, if that's way beyond your comfort levels and tolerance levels, to say, I don't mind ending on a cliffhanger and waiting perhaps another decade. I don't know. But if you say no, then I would recommend Die 13,5 Leben des Captain Blaubeer, the 13.5 Lives of Captain Bluebear. This is a standalone. It has all the features of Mörs' style, and the quirkiness of invention, the puns, the meandering plot lines. It's all in there as well. And it's just a charming story. It's about, the Captain Bluebear of the title. And it's like his life story. So he, as a little baby, gets swept overboard of a ship and is rescued by dwarfs pirates. Pirates that are so small that they can use a walnut shell as their boats. And of course he outgrows them very quickly, and it gets very hard for them to actually feed him. So they bring him to another island and say, there's plenty of food for you here, fend for yourself. And then we just follow his life story. And as I say, it's quirky, it's bonkers, it's just wonderful to read. And it has a very sweet, charming ending as well. So if you want to get a taste of what my favorite German fantasy author is like, then I would recommend that book. Another book I picked up and have started to read is R. Scott Baker's The Darkness That Comes Before. Now, I haven't made big inroads into that yet. I'm very much at the beginning of this. This is part of a read-along that is organized by Steve from Steve Talks Books, and who is also behind the page showing forum. And this is where the read-along is organized. Steve has read the whole series, so the whole Second Apocalypse series, The Prince of Nothing and Aspect Emperor, and was so impressed that he went straight away almost into a reread. And this is what that read-along is about, him rereading this book. There are several people like myself who are reading this for the first time. I have to say I'm a bit conflicted about R. Scott Baker. I've heard a lot about him. He seems to get a bit more traction. It's also one of those authors that's constantly said as, oh, he's very important for the genre. So I said, right, who am I to say I don't even want to sample an author that's important for the genre? And I thought this is my chance to do that. I don't know if I will stick with it. As I say, it's very, very early for me. So far, two takeaways, I think. One is it's very Nietzsche heavy. And, well, let's say Nietzsche is not necessarily my most favorite philosopher. Let's leave it at that. So I have to see how I get along with this amount of, let's say Nietzsche reference and Nietzsche influence. But I have to also say I give R. Scott Baker one thing. It's very beautifully written. I mean, there is some tougher stuff going on as well, but it's very beautiful in his prose. That's definitely a plus. Will it be enough to make me read at least the very first trilogy and maybe even the whole series? We'll have to see. It's very much wait and see for that one. And the last of the things that I picked up, and well, I'm more or less just dipping in and out of it, is this one, Neil Gaiman, Sandman. Ever since the TV series came out, I'm kind of thinking I should reread this, I found this in the 90s when it was still very fresh and freshly out there, and haven't reread it since. So some of this is more like a hazy, this was a good serious feeling than me actually remembering what's going on in detail. And I thought again when Varsha and Philip over on Varsha's channel, Reading by the Rainy Mountain, started reading this as a buddy read, I thought I should really go back and reread this. And then didn't either. But there seems to be a group forming, at least there were some indications for that again on the page showing forum, and I thought I pick it up and start. I've read the first bind up so far, so that would be what corresponds to Preludes and Nocturnes, and as I say, I dip in and out of it when the fancy takes me, when I'm in the mood, or I don't want to read any of the other stuff. I read a couple of pages of this. And so far, I still enjoy it. Definitely was a good idea to go back to that. So what else might I have on my TBR? I want to go back to Ursula Le Guin and read the second of her novels, which is Planet of Exile. Is that correct? Yeah. They're very short, those first three of her novels. They're only a little bit over 100 pages, which doesn't mean that they're not rich in themes, but at least they're relatively quick to read. So I will want to return to this. I also have a little bit of a yearning for Melassen. I think when I'm leaving Yermanland behind, I will probably go back And I want to continue with Inci Esselmon's Path of Ascendancy, the second one, Dead House Landing. Yes, that qualifies as reading Melazen. Yes, I know the purist, it's not one of the big 10. This is Melazen as well. And yeah, that's I think all the Melazen my brain is at the moment still capable of. And I see how I get along. I see how much time there will be, well, I mean, in the next months or so. Because I also have this lying around, Mark Lawrence, The Book That Wouldn't Burn, which I still haven't read. I've heard a lot of really, really good stuff about it. Yes, I have the hardback edition, because, well, somebody has to keep wobbles in cat food. So yeah, so I like to get to this as well. So, will any of this make it onto the channel? Yes, definitely. I definitely want to do another spoiler-free review of Return to Eden. I reviewed the other 2 books, so I want to do that for the 3rd one. I will definitely do another installment in the Le Guin project on that 2nd novel. I also will do another roundup because, yeah, the Eden trilogy is very much kind of like centered on a holy war, a religious war that's going on in that book, in that trilogy. So I thought there are so many out there, actually, books that deal with holy wars. I've read a couple over the last, let's say, half year or so. So I thought I might do a roundup video on that, because why not? And I'm also thinking of doing a couple more discussions. As I said, I really liked the discussions we did for the Perdido Street Station read-along. And yeah, I also have the feeling a bit, I like live streams, which I didn't think I would, but I did. Now I have to say, I mean, the chat was cozy. There weren't that many people because it's a very small channel, of course. But I don't know, I mean, if I have 200 people in a chat and the comments just whiz past me, perhaps I would say, no, I'm not so much into live streams anymore. But at the moment, I really like that as a format. I think it's the interactivity, already the discussion, having people to directly talk to and get some reaction back immediately, was really nice to have. So I like interactive, I think. It's one of the big takeaways from the read-along as well. So yeah, I would love to do more of those discussion type things. I also really liked the fantasy and violence discussion I had with Vasha and Philip. So I would like to do a couple more of those, which I have provisionally labeled something like issues in fantasy. So more, let's say, overarching topics. And I might link the next one into this whole idea of religious conflicts, holy wars. We'll see. But that is definitely something I will be interested in and that you can expect on the channel in the future as well. And yeah, if you have any topics that you would like to have discussed in that format, I don't know if you can hear that, but my washing machine makes noises. Yeah, I do mundane stuff like laundry. We will ignore that. So if you have any topics that you would like to have discussed in that format, please let me know again in the comment section. If there is something where you say, oh yeah, that would really, really interest me. Okay, that brings me, I think, to my very last bit. And this has to do with this here. Yeah. So, every time I'm doing one of those roundup videos, I say, well, if you have any recommendations for me, please leave them in the comment section. Because you come through big time. Everything in the year, all those slips of paper, are viewer recommendations. And yes, I'm asking for it literally, so I'm not complaining, but I have read quite a few of them over the year and a bit that I'm on BookTube now, but I also think I could be much better and do this more systematically. So I give you the recommendation jar. So the idea is that I will pick one of those recommendations that's in here and then read it, and of course do a video on it. Probably more like a reaction video. I don't know. I might get carried away and even do a vlog. Who knows? Anything is possible. Yeah, and then when I've done one, either with this segment here or at the end of that dedicated video, I will pick the next one. So the idea is not to do all of them, well, eventually in some time, but to empty the jar. Ideally, this jar will always be full, because ideally you will give me more recommendations. And if you have some and want them to go into this, again, no, comment section. If you have a book where you say you really need to read that, then put it in the comment section. I write it on a slip of paper and put it in there. The colors don't mean anything. They're not color coded or anything. The colors are just there to make it visually appealing, make it look pretty, basically. Okay, let's pick the first one, I would say. And yeah, let's see. What am I reading from my viewers' recommendations? Okay, it's put this down. Yeah, it's orange one. Oh, haha, Martha Wells, Murderbot Diaries. Now this is a series. This was one of the problems I had. You recommend me a lot of series, trilogies, and I think that has a lot to do with the genre. Standalones are hard to come by. So I will read the first one, All Systems Red. If I really like it, I might read more, but this is what I'm reading. I don't know actually if that actually will be picked up by the camera. Probably not, but that's our first take of what I will be reading. Martha Wells, All Systems Red, from the Murderbot Diaries. Right. I heard a lot about this. A lot of people say it's absolutely fabulous, super. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, as I say, I will do a video to tell you how I got along with this. Okay, if you are still here watching and listening to me rambling, then thank you. And as always, happy reading and all the best.